Hello and welcome back to Tima podcast. Let me begin by saying thank you, Diallo. Thank you for sinking Man City and beating them at the Etihad. As Manchester United beat City 2-1 at the Etihad, it is a statement win for Ruben Amorim, and City's title hopes have been once again dealt a massive blow as they are now 9 points behind Liverpool, and Liverpool have a game in hand. More to cover in this podcast episode, talking about Chelsea and whether or not they will actually be challenging for the title consistently, talking about Liverpool apparently bottling it, I think not, and then briefly about Arsenal, Gary O'Neill and Russell Martin. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Will be, as always, simple and straightforward approach. I'm a fan, you're a fan, an authentic and genuine approach. Let's get into this. So much to talk about because this game is phenomenal. City are 5th place below Nottingham Forest. This is crazy. We have never seen this. City have literally won one game in 11. They've had 8 defeats. They have lost so many games. They lost to Juventus midweek, and now they lost to United. And it was incredible the way they lost as well. Manchester United scoring 2 goals in the end of the game. 86-minute penalty by Bruno Fernandes after Diallo was tripped in the box. And then Diallo scores a phenomenal goal. Brilliant pass by Lisandro Martinez. Dinks it over the keeper and then basically just sides footed right into the net. Brilliant goal. Absolutely phenomenal goal by Diallo. He literally has made this the Diallo Derby because that was a scintillating performance. He turned the game around, but United had a very good game. Do not get me wrong here. I have to be honest that they played brilliantly. I watched the entire game and they were excellent. You might think that when United beat City, it was a case of where United sat back and they defended and then they countered. City had lots of chances and they got lucky. Absolutely not. Manchester United gave City a proper fair fight and they were the better team. In terms of possession, United had 48% possession compared to 52% for Man City. So possession-wise, you were playing the possession kings at their stadium and yet you still managed to keep 48%. Then in terms of the shots on target, it was exactly the same for both sides. 10 shots and 3 on target. And in terms of the passing, Man United were actually very good. 88% passing accuracy, City 86%. So Manchester United clearly being able to control the midfield in a better way. They were obviously not dominant. I would say there were periods where City had more kind of good moments and United had more good moments. But overall, looking at the game, Man United had a lot more defining chances. Bruno Fernandes missing a big moment. There was another controversial call when Manchester United could have gotten a penalty. Kyle Walker potentially could have been sent off for first fouling Rasmus and then simulating what is the most ridiculous thing ever, where essentially he pushes over Rasmus walks off, they kind of just going at each other, and then Walker waits 1.5-2 seconds and then goes down. It's a joke. You have to watch this because it is honestly a joke. It's I'm sorry, but it's quite disgraceful. It's a disgrace. England national City captain to be simulating a dive like that is absolutely ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous and stupid way to try to get your opponent sent off. You literally go in head to head and then react 2 seconds later. That's absolute nonsense. So quite embarrassing actually. And then Pep Guardiola looked absolutely baffled afterwards. He was completely baffled and City looking a complete mess. But let's talk about United. Let's talk about what Ruben Amorim has done. Because this is not just a win for Ruben Amorim. This is not just 3 points on the table. This is a statement for Manchester United. Because the biggest story before the game was that Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho were not even included in the squad. Now, originally, I thought it had to do with attitude. I thought, maybe Garnacho was getting a bit arrogant, a bit kind of showing the attitude. Same thing with Rashford. Obviously, we already had a lot of context about Marcus Rashford. There were quite a few instances in the past where he had some kind of attitude problems, and there were some articles coming out where basically they were saying that, inside sources saying that Marcus Rashford's attitude is a bit of a problem. So I was thinking that maybe it's that, but Ruben Amorim has clarified that it was not a disciplinary issue, that they were not training well enough, and he made a decision based on what he had available at the time, and he decided to include Anthony in the squad and drop Rashford and Garnacho. And this is a massive statement. I cannot underestimate what a massive not just a gamble, it is a statement. It's a statement. You're going away to your rivals. It's a very important game. You are all the way down in like 14th place in the league. So you really are in trouble. Like you are in trouble. And you are playing Man City. And regardless if City are in form or not, you are playing the champions at their place. And to drop some of your best players, Alejandro Garnacho arguably being United's probably top 3 most valuable players and top 3 best players, Marcus Rashford historically being one of their best players and their top goal scorers. To drop them both was a statement, and what made it an even bigger statement is the guy who replaced him, Amad Diallo. For a long time, Rashford was starting, Garnacho was starting, and Amad had to sit on the bench. He had to wait and wait and wait and wait. He had to be patient last season to even get a start. He had to be patient this season, and now he comes on. In a massive game, he was brilliant. He kept on working. He never gave up. He ran the channels. He kept on trying to dribble, create chances. First half, a bit frustrating. In the second half, brilliant. He goes in, latches onto a poor ball from Mateus Nunes, wins a penalty, and then scores a beautiful goal. He dinks it over, a beautiful pass by Lisandro Martinez. Then Amad dinks it over the keeper, Edison, and then just literally sides foot into empty net. Absolutely brilliant. That was a class goal and a class performance. And afterwards, you can see the passion. He was kissing the shirt, threw his shirt away to a fan. He was really, really, you could feel how much it meant for him. You could genuinely feel it. This is a player who has been working and working and working. He has been working all the time. His work is phenomenal. This season, he's starting to put up these excellent performances. He played at right wing back when he needed to. Now he's played at number 10, and he has proved that he is Manchester United's right now. He has to play in the number 10 role. He has definitely made it clear that he has to be ahead of Rashford and Garnacho. And this is a massive statement for Ruben Amorim, because we know that with Manchester United, one of the biggest problems is player power. For a long time, Man United have had issues where players have got way too much influence in the dressing room. Certain big name players like Rashford, Luke Shaw, before Pogba, Ronaldo, these players having too much influence, and that was disturbing the team dynamics. And even with Ten Hag, he had all these issues with Sancho, then with Ronaldo, then some issues with Rashford. And now what we see with Ruben Amorim is a statement. He doesn't like something, you're dropped from the squad. I don't care if it's Man City. I don't care if it's a derby. I don't care if we need you. You're dropped. And we win the game 2-1. Look at that. Just look at that. Without 2 of their most important attackers, they still win the game. Absolutely brilliant. This is a massive statement. Massive statement for the whole dressing room, to basically tell the whole dressing room, if you don't perform, if you don't do things right, you're dropped. And he even said that I will pay attention to the way you behave, the way you even dress. This guy is a proper gaffer. He's a proper manager. He will properly look at players and be like, you know what? If you aren't performing, if you aren't putting it in, if you aren't training hard enough, if you're not good enough, you're dropped. I don't care who you are. That is the mentality which Manchester United have lacked since Sir Alex Ferguson. They've not had a guy like this. Probably what let down Ten Hag the most was the inability to do that. When he was constantly starting Rashford and nothing was changing, he kept on delivering poor performances. But he kept on making the same mistakes, Erik Ten Hag. He wasn't ruthless enough when he needed to bench players or to drop them. Whereas now, Ruben Amorim, what a statement. Massive statement. And, fair play to United. I mean, obviously, as a Liverpool fan, we have a massive rivalry with them. But in this case, United have pretty much ended City's title hopes. And I think City are, it's fair to say they are out of the title race. Definitely, they are out now. I think, obviously, we dropped points against Fulham. If they won against United, I would say, all right, they're sort of back in it. But now they're 9 points behind. And we've got a game in hand. So massive for this. Absolutely massive. The next topic I want to talk about is Chelsea, who are now only 2 points of Liverpool, but they have played 1 extra game. Chelsea beat Brentford 2-1 at Stamford Bridge in what is a very impressive result. Fair play. Cucurella and Jackson scoring 2 goals, and then Brian Mabono scores a goal later on, but the game ends 2-1, and Cucurella was sent off like in the last minute for a second yellow card. Look, I'll be honest, Chelsea have surprised me, and I have to put my hands up and say, I was wrong. I predicted Chelsea ninth. I was completely wrong. I genuinely thought they got it wrong. I thought their squad was a complete mess. They made a lot of nonsensical signings like Joao Felix for 60 million who they did not need. They then proceeded to sign too many players in midfield and defence, and then not enough in certain areas. They didn't have a clinical, proper striker who was fit enough like Osimhen. They missed out on some key targets, as I said, Osimhen. I thought their backline was inexperienced. You look at the centre-backs, just not convincing. I don't see any world-class defenders there. The keeper, I thought, is always a liability. But look, I'm wrong. Because Enzo Maresca, who I doubted, who I questioned, who a lot of people questioned, has been brilliant. He has brought this team together and he has made them click. He has developed a clear style of play. They're scoring a lot of goals. They've scored the most goals in the Premier League. They are consistently winning games, 5 in a row wins. And you look at what Enzo Maresca has done to the whole squad, bringing a sense of unity. Even though you've got apparently 45 players in the squad, he's been able to manage that squad, essentially having an A team and a B team. So the B team for the Conference League and then the A team for the Premier League. So very cleverly managed there. The individual performances by certain players are fantastic. Cucurella having a very good season overall. You know, there was a point at which there were discussions that he could be loaned to Man United because he was that terrible after his first season, but he has massively improved. Nicholas Jackson this season, 9 goals, 3 assists. In terms of his performances in calendar 2024, he has literally been one of the best attackers in the Premier League. Then we got Cole Palmer getting 11 goals and 6 assists in the Premier League this season. He's having another scintillating season. I think some people are kind of overhyping him to be the best player in the Premier League, which he's not. That is still Mo Salah, who is just... Mo Salah is kind of in a league of his own, to be fair. So I can't really blame Cole Palmer, who has been phenomenal for Chelsea as well. And yeah, look, Chelsea are brilliant. And they are proving the resilience. They are proving the mentality. And clearly Enzo Maresca's tactical abilities are great. He has been able to develop the style of play. And the way he's done it so quickly is impressive. If you look at that first game where they lost 2-0 to City, I would have never guessed that Chelsea could ever go on and do this. But I will say one thing. Are Chelsea going to win the title? I think not. I still think that Chelsea have vulnerabilities. We look at keeper, Robert Sanchez is not good enough. He makes too many mistakes. There's a lack of experience at centre-back, and in those big defining moments, you need to have a solid back line, which I don't think they have. I also think the squad needs more time to kind of gel together and become a solidified unit. We still have 22 games left to go in the season. There are lots of big games left, and of course Chelsea's current form is phenomenal, but I don't think a team which has just been built can go on and win the league. They will need some time to keep building, and then they'll be able to mount an even better title challenge, because I don't think Chelsea will stay in this title challenge as closely. I do think they will drop off. I do think they will stumble a few more times. And ultimately, I think they will stumble more times than Liverpool. So they will not win the league, in my opinion. And probably one of the kind of slightly concerning things for Chelsea is they have not proven themselves in the big games. So in the big games in the Premier League, they've just not really been that convincing. They lost to us at Anfield 2-1. They lost to City on the opening game 2-0 at home as well. They drew Arsenal and they drew United. To be fair, they did beat Newcastle in the league, but then lost in the cup. And then they beat Aston Villa 3-0 in a statement victory. And they had a phenomenal, sensational comeback win against Spurs, 4-3 win. So I still feel like they've just probably not done well enough in the big games. Because if they were able to beat Liverpool, they'll be top of the league now. So that just shows you the fine margins of 1 game difference and you could have been top of the league. And I definitely think the Conference League is a massive advantage because Liverpool are having to play in the Champions League and play Real Madrid, play AC Milan, Leipzig, Bayer Leverkusen. We're playing all the top teams, whereas Chelsea are playing, these random teams who no one even knows about. And of course, they're able to completely rotate the squad and play these B teams where they can take 10 or 9 players out from the first team. I mean, you look at who they've played in the Conference League. Astana, Heidenheim, Noah, and of course no disrespect to these teams. I'm sure these are decent teams, but we're talking about a completely different level. And of course, it takes massive pressure off the first team, Chelsea. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why they've done well. And one thing I would say about Chelsea is they've been very good at beating the games they can win. So even if they haven't done that brilliantly in the big games, they have pretty much won every single game against teams you expect them to win. I know they drew Forest and they drew Crystal Palace, but apart from that, you look at it, it's quite convincing. Beat Bournemouth, beat West Ham, beat Brighton, then beat Newcastle, then beat Leicester, beat Aston Villa, so beat Brentford. So it's that consistency of being able to keep going, which I'm quite impressed by. Very impressed. And I do think Chelsea will finish in the top four. For now, I will still keep my prediction that they will finish fourth. I think they will hit a tough patch, but I do think they will finish in the top four. And I do think there'll be quite a big gap down to the rest of the teams below, because there are a lot of underperforming sides, such as Aston Villa, who have dropped off, then Tottenham, who have obviously nowhere near their 10th place, Man United at 13th, Newcastle 12th. This is a very bizarre Premier League season where all the teams you expect to do well a lot of them are underperforming. Man City in 5th. So I still think that City and Arsenal have got just much better players, and the manager's got more experience. Enzo Maresca's got a lot to learn, and sometimes you've got a great start and then you hit a tough patch, and we'll see. We'll see with Chelsea. But fair play. Fair play completely. Now, Liverpool drawing Fulham 2-2 at Anfield. You might look at it and be like, Liverpool are bottling it, 2 league draws in a row. Now the gap's down to 2. The gap was 9 points, now it's 2. Well, first of all, we've got a game in hand. There's nothing we can do about that. Of course, if you were to consider that game in hand, it's not really a 2-point gap. It could be a 5-point gap, right? Of course, it's nice to have points on the board, but we have a game in hand, and it's not our fault that there was a storm. At the end of a storm. Yeah, there was a storm, okay? So, that, not our fault. And you look at this Fulham game, and unfortunately, it was very much a kind of a game where Robertson messed it up. I'm sorry, I don't want to say this because I really like Robertson. He's a fantastic player. But Fulham go 1-0 up on the 11th minute with Pereira scoring a goal after Robertson kind of made a mistake. He should have marked Pereira, but kind of an error by Robbo there. And then Robertson gets a ridiculous red card on the 17th minute where he basically miscontrols the ball. There was no one around him. He loses the ball. Then who was it? It was Harry Wilson, sorry. Harry Wilson runs through on goal, and Robertson basically tackles him from behind, takes him out. Now, some people have pointed out that Van Dijk played Harry Wilson onside. And this is not the first time Van Dijk has played someone onside, but equally, you can't blame Van Dijk. It was a complete lack of judgment by Robertson, who was having a terrible, terrible game. He's given away 2 penalties recently, now a red card, and he unfortunately has cost us a goal. And then same thing against Arsenal. That first goal he was completely done by Saka. So unfortunately, Robertson is going through a tough patch of form. I will still back Robertson. I think he's a great player. I still believe in his ability to come back. I can't believe how some Liverpool fans are writing him off as if he's rubbish, trying to compare him to Moreno, which is complete nonsense. He's still a good player, Robertson. He's had some good games this season. It is unfortunately that he's just going through a rough patch of form. I don't think it's age. I really don't think it's a case of where he's finished. I just think that he's had injury issues which have disrupted his fitness levels. And a bit like Van Dijk in the 22-23 season, he's having the off season where you've had the injuries, but you're back fit, but you're not at your level. So he's taking time to kind of readjust back to himself. And we saw with Van Dijk how it is possible, even at the age of 30, to make a comeback. Because Van Dijk had the ACL injury, then 21-22 he was excellent, 22-23 he was quite poor, but then last season and this season he has been absolutely phenomenal and been, in my opinion, the best centre-back in the world. So you can make a comeback, and I believe in Robertson. That does not mean we should not think about replacements, but of course it's very important to always keep looking for younger options to keep the squad going. But this Robbo hate is nonsense. We cannot cause a pile on Robertson. But look, Liverpool, you gotta give us credit. We fought hard. We fought really hard, because from that point on, 1-0 down on a red, even though we were at home, to come back to draw 2-2 was very impressive. Jota with the 86-minute equalizer just shows you how much of a phenomenal player he is. That finish was excellent. The first touch kind of tricks the defender, brilliant shot, goal, absolutely brilliant. And actually, we put up a fantastic fight. 62% possession with 10 men for most of the game. 16 shots, 4 on target, and I would say it was probably Fulham who were waiting for the full-time whistle. Iwobi kind of went down, 2 minutes on the ground. We didn't get that extra time at the end. So we were pushing it. We were pushing it, absolutely we were. I think this shows a strong mentality because this is a massive obstacle to be 1-0 down at home, red card, to a team like Fulham, which is a bit like, they are doing very well, but it's Fulham. So you're a bit like, if we lose this, it's a bit of a bottle. But we fought back, and I think it was a very honourable win. Sorry, a very honourable draw. I also have to point out that Quansah had another poor performance. Letting that cross come in for the second Fulham goal was really poor. He just didn't really block the cross. So unfortunately, Quansah also going through a poor patch of form. He's had quite a few poor performances this season. Confidence levels are quite low. And I would say there are very, very few players in Liverpool who have dropped off from last season. And I would say definitely one of them has been Nunez, who is definitely having a very poor season, and Quansah. Nowhere near the player who actually was better than Konate. It's crazy to think how much the tables have turned from Quansah starting above Konate to now Quansah coming off the bench not even being good enough for that. So I'm sorry Quansah, but it was another poor performance. But look, he's young, let's give him some time. I will not take any fans or so-called fans, Liverpool fans, saying that he's not good enough. Oh, he's mediocre, this and that. Yeah. So last season when he was doing brilliantly, he's fantastic. Now he's got a few bad games. Suddenly, he's not good enough. Come on, give the youngster some time. He needs time to learn. Let's remember that not all great players were great from the age of 18. It's not like every single player has been phenomenal from the age of 18. You need to give them some time. On some other subjects, Arsenal drawing Everton 0-0. Again, bottling it. I said it so many times. I said it about Arsenal. Mentality. They haven't got the mentality to keep winning. The manager. Let's talk about the manager. He just doesn't have the mentality to win. When adversity strikes, he can't quite turn things around. He subs off Odegaard for tactical reasons. They still draw the game. They had plenty of chances. They missed their chances. And they drew. Dropping points in a time when you have to capitalize on the moments. Liverpool drop points. This is your moment to strike. What do Arsenal do? They bottle it. And now, I think it's quite fair to say that Chelsea are the title challengers. They are the title challengers. You can't make a case for Arsenal, who are 6 points behind Liverpool with an extra game as well. So this is not looking good for Arsenal, who not only will probably not win the league, but maybe will not even finish second. In fact, Arsenal probably are more of a top 4 battle in some ways than they are with a title battle, which I know sounds a bit ridiculous. Maybe I'm going too far here, but I think it is very fair to say that Chelsea have overtaken Arsenal for now. This might still change, but there is a 4-point gap, and Chelsea have been playing way better football than Arsenal, and I think that Chelsea as a team have just worked better, whereas Arsenal, the mentality just doesn't seem to be there. I don't know, I've always said this, the manager doesn't know how to win because he's only won one trophy. The team's not really won anything, so I'm not saying Arteta out, that's nonsense, but there's definitely question marks being asked. This is a manager for 4 seasons in a row, 0 trophies, and he's only come second place. And try to glorify second place as much as you like. I understand coming second place is a big achievement, especially when you're coming second place to City. But there's no excuse this season because City have dropped off and Liverpool have replaced you and Chelsea have overtaken you. So go sort this out and think about what you will do on the market, especially with January coming up soon. So maybe you can try to do something about it. In terms of other news, so Wolves manager Gary O'Neill has unfortunately been sacked after a 2-1 defeat to Ipswich at home. Wolves 19th place, absolute disaster for them. They are 5 points off safety, having only gotten 9 points. 11 defeats for Wolves, most goals conceded, 40 goals. It's very bad, very, very bad for Wolves. I feel sorry for Gary O'Neill. I don't think he's a terrible manager. I think with Gary O'Neill, it's really a case of he was put in a very difficult position because 2 of their best players, Pedro Neto and Max Kilman, leave. Max Kilman being the captain, being the commander at the back, they've not been able to replace him. They're having to play someone like Lemina, who is a centre midfielder, play him at centre back. They're having to play, essentially they're playing the wrong players in the wrong position because they haven't got the squad. You look at that team that lost to Ipswich, in the back three, Semedo, Bueno, Gomez, then Doherty, Andre, Lamina, Ainori, then Bellegarde, Cunha, Strand Larsen. This is not a bad team. Absolutely not. And they are underperforming. And I will be honest that Gary O'Neill has definitely underperformed. I try to back Gary O'Neill. I've always backed him. But unfortunately, I have to be honest that despite the heroics he did last season, despite the heroics against Bournemouth, this season has just not been it. And I guess this is where his lack of experience comes in. He's only recently begun to manage. So I think Gary O'Neill can still have a fantastic career in football. And he will get more chances. But unfortunately, he's just not been able to navigate this mess. And to be fair, it was a mess. Wolves were a mess from the start. Not making the signings, not replacing players, selling their best players. At some point, you will end up in a situation like this. Then also Russell Martin being sacked, finally, after a 5-0 home defeat to Spurs. 5 points after 16 games. They are 7 points off. Sorry, they are 9 points off safety. I think it's safe to say that they are going to be relegated. I do not have a clue why the Southampton wait so long. To me, it seemed like Russell Martin he should have been sacked like 3 games in. Because going into the Premier League, playing this attacking football where you have, 60% possession a game, you've got one of the most passes per match in the Premier League. It's an absolute joke. I'm so sorry, but you need to adapt when you come from the Championship. You can't just walk in the Premier League, try to play this playing out from the back, possession football against proper sides like Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. You will get obliterated. So I'm sorry, Southampton, but it is completely on Russell Martin for being completely unable to adjust his playing style. It doesn't matter what his playing style is. If your playing style is earning you 5 points in 16 games, your playing style doesn't work. And any decent manager should be able to change their playing style if it doesn't work. You can't just stick by one idea and never make it work. You have to change, and I'm surprised why he's not been sacked earlier. I think it was a case of when it was clear after 6-7 games that he's not going to change, that he's not making things better. I think maybe that was the sack signal, honestly, because it's almost like he did this on purpose. He purposely played the style of football, playing out from the back and getting caught every time. They have made the most mistakes leading to a goal in the Premier League. It's almost like they knew what they're doing, they knew it's not going to work, and they keep on doing it. Why? Why do you keep playing out from the back if every single game it costs you points? Why? Honestly, I don't get it. I don't get it. But look, a very interesting Premier League weekend. Looking forward to more action. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel Tima Baller. Follow me on other podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. So please do check it out. I appreciate the support. Leave a comment on YouTube. Of course, I want to hear your opinions and if you agree with my takes. And I wish you all the best and see you soon.